I'll be brief. I know it's been a long night. You all covered last night. Thank you for covering me last night. I want to thank the voters yesterday for a resounding victory. We're extremely pleased with the results from last night, but it's time to get back to work. We never stopped working. I think that what was very unique about this campaign was you had to run a campaign while at the same time making sure that taking care of the business of the city. And that is what I did during this campaign. We had a lot of things that needed to still be able to be done while running for office at the same time, including the assault that we continue to get from the federal government. Just 2 days ago, we joined a lawsuit that you all will be hearing about regarding EPA funding that was frozen to many cities, including Rochester, after already being appropriated. That results in millions of dollars. It will result in millions of dollars to the city of Rochester. We joined that lawsuit from the federal government. So we have a lot of issues from the federal level that usually would not seep into local politics, but unfortunately it has. And when you have money that is being held up, that was appropriated through the legal methods, that creates challenges for us here in the city of Rochester. So we will continue to deal with these federal issues. We have another Rock Resilience Roundtable coming up with my team of folks that are getting together to talk about all of the challenges that we have are addressing at the federal level. And those things are not going to stop being challenges for us. As you know, we passed our budget last week, and that budget was passed in full without any relying on the revenue that we get from the federal government. If that changes, we will have to go back and revisit that. Those are big things that we will have to deal with as we continue to go forward. Next month, I will be convening with many mayors to talk about how the federal government has affected cities. So this has been a major piece of the last 6 months of our job, and in many ways you had to I had to fight an election, and then while also fighting the federal government, right? And that is an extremely tough task, but we were able to do it. I think that I am also proud of the campaign and that we were able to stay positive throughout the entire campaign. There was a lot of misinformation, a lot of slings and arrows thrown at our record, but we did not let that deter us. And we took our message right to the voters, and that is what we will continue to do as we go into November, because we're not going to take anything for granted. We will continue to campaign, but more importantly than campaigning, we will continue to govern this city. Rochester has to be able to show. My goal is for Rochester to be able to show that we can move forward without chaos, conflict, and confusion. That is what we are currently seeing at the federal level, and it was my goal to make sure that Rochester did not fall into that trap. And it's easy for us to fall into that trap if we don't stay focused, if we don't collaborate, and if we don't work together. And I know that that's something that I stood for, and I think that that message resonated with the voters, that people didn't want to hear from folks who were just going to point out problems and not come up with solutions. They didn't want to hear from people who wanted to be saviors and not leaders. And that is, as I said last night, that is what I want it to be able to be. At the end of the month, I will give you a public safety update. You will hear our annual public safety update will be coming up next month. As you know, homicides are down again this year, as are shootings. We still have a long way to go. As I always say, we're not where we want to be, but thank God we are not where we were. And I think that the public also recognized that progress. And we will give an update on that progress going forward. Public safety will continue to be a major focus of our term going forward. We cannot slide back on our reduction of homicides. We cannot slide back on our reduction of shootings. We have to make sure that we deal with that, but also quality of life issues. We are not going to become a city where quality of life issues dwarf the other good things that we're doing. So you will hear more about our addressing of quality of life issues, and you will see that both not only in words but also in deeds. The opioid epidemic, as you know, is a major challenge for all cities across the country, Rochester, Monroe County being no different. You will see us continue to expand our ambassador program on North Clinton, Jefferson Avenue, Lyle Avenue, and Monroe Avenue. The opioid epidemic is killing people in ways that is just extremely heartbreaking, And you will see us continue to work on our opioid steering committee, and you may even see an expansion of some of the ambassador programs. We are also going to continue to collaborate with the county on the opioid fatality review committee, which is when we look back in time to see what caused an opioid death. That is extremely, extremely important. On July 1st, as you know, Rochester will welcome a brand new school superintendent. While we do not control the schools, we will be having a lot of elevated conversations in this community about education. Rochester cannot thrive without a strong education system, and we will work and reiterate our commitment to partner with the Rochester City School District and anybody in the education field in order to move Rochester forward, and we look forward to that conversation. And in particular, one of the things I'm going to be very interested in the second term is truancy, the number of kids who are not in their seats. That is a major issue. The New York Times has done articles about this in New York State, post-COVID, about the number of students who are not in school. And Washington Post also did an article recently about the number of students who are also truant. This is a major challenge for us, I believe, in our city, and I believe by all of us working together, that is an issue that we can address. So I will continue to look at ways in which we can address education in a collaborative way as a community in order to move that forward. We're also excited, and we're continuing to move on our Office of Financial Empowerment, and in particular our Future Fund. We continue to raise dollars for that so that way we can ensure every kindergartner coming in September can get those dollars. That is a signature program that is extremely important to this administration, and it's something that we want to push out as part of our overall economic empowerment agenda. We have to make sure that our folks understand that they can thrive, but if we can get them connected at a very early age to financial instruments, to financial savings, we are going to change lives and generations in the city of Rochester. And I believe that the story will be written about what we're going to do about this Our Future Fund account. So stay tuned to more on that. We have a massive amount of building and infrastructure projects that are going on right now that will continue into the coming years. Very excited about Main and Clinton. As you know, that spot has been an abomination for years, but guess what? It is no longer an abomination. If you look out there now, it looks the best it's looked probably in 25 years. New windows are there. The scaffolding is coming down, and soon we'll be cutting the ribbon on that. We are excited about that. Our convention center project, $60+ million, and then all of our housing projects in all of our neighborhoods. Center City Courtyard downtown, the Taylor Square on Clinton Avenue, and on. Those will continue to be a major focus as we go forward. The housing projects, and we want to ensure that we continue to build single-family homes. We are excited to soon be getting back responses to our pilot program of building modular homes on vacant lots in the city of Rochester. That's going to be a major opportunity for us as a city to beef up housing and lift it up. We want to continue to be a model for the rest of the state and the country as it relates to housing. You heard a lot of conversation about housing during this campaign, and while people were talking about it, while people were on TV or posting on social media talking about it, I was at multiple ribbon cuttings, cutting ribbons on new homes. I was at multiple ribbon cuttings, cutting ribbons on affordable housing projects. I was at multiple places on vacant lots, pointing to places where we were building new homes. This next term, we will continue to have a duology. And what I mean by a duology is we do. We don't talk, we do. I think voters are tired of people who might be flashy and come and talk about all the things they're doing by doing it on social media or getting on TV. But we need to make sure that we can produce for our residents, and I think that that is what we have been able to show. In terms of other massive projects that we have going on, the vacuum oil site, the Interloop project, vacuum oil is also about 28 acres right near the Plex neighborhood that we will continue to build upon. And then we cannot forget about the Interloop project, which will be the most massive project probably in the city's history, $200 million. The Vision Zero program is something that we'll also be working on, not only next 6 months, but also into the second term. We want to decrease the number of pedestrian deaths. We know that we want to have our rapid transit along Lake Avenue. I look forward to working with my partners in Albany to make this happen, and in particular Jeremy Cooney, who chairs the Senate Transportation Committee. He will play a major role in that because we will need resources from the state in order to move our Vision Zero program. We're going to make that a reality. And I want to remind people that we're the only second city in all of New York State that has this Vision Zero program. Our neighborhoods and neighbors will also continue to play a major role as we continue to go forward. A couple of months ago, as you know, we launched our Neighborhoods in Action program. That is over 47 community organizations that are working hand in glove with City Hall to address our most pressing challenges. And we look forward to continuing that. One of the things that I think people realized during this past election when I ran into them is that I had worked with so many people on neighborhood projects, be it the Peace Collective or NIA or our ambassador program or any of our cultural events that we have, because we have our Percent for the Art funding. I've worked with so many organizations and people that were connected to City Hall that they appreciated that. And that's something that we're going to continue to do. I tried to be in multiple places at one time, and I think that part of this job is showing up. And I've showed up for our people, and I will continue to show up for our people going forward. Our youth will also continue to be a major issue, a major issue for us. We're going to continue to make sure that anybody that wants to work gets a job. We're going to continue to expand our 12 to 14-year-olds in pre-employment programs, and we're going to make sure that the Mayor's Youth Academy and all the other youth-centered work, be it opening all the swimming pools, or having all the rec centers with extended hours, and having mental health supports in the rec centers, having our esports at the library. These are all things that we're going to continue to move forward in our next term. And we're going to try to do a better job of making sure that we tell the story, because we want people to know what is out here. And we want our ambassadors in our communities to have pride for Rochester, because what we have is a situation where sometimes people can get down on Rochester. We want people to be up on Rochester. And I ran this entire campaign as a cheerleader for Rochester. And that is what I will continue to be, a happy warrior for our city. Because if we in leadership look down on our city, what are we doing? We can identify the problems, but let's make sure that we come up with a solution. And that is what we want to do. And then lastly, I'll touch on mental health. During this campaign, and even as I came in through COVID, the mental health challenges that we have see in this city are very, very concerning. And we will continue to do everything we can to get more mental health supports, more beds for mental health, finding innovative ways for people to get treatment for mental health, be it in our rec centers or our libraries or partnering with therapists and clinicians. But we have a major, major mental health crisis in our city and in our country. And I saw it I saw it my first 3.5 years here. It was heightened during the campaign period where I really saw it. Our folks are crying out for mental health supports. You see it play out on social media regularly. We have to make sure that we are taking care of each other as it relates to mental health. I would urge anybody to use the resources of 211, use the resources of 988. If you know someone that has experienced a mental health challenge, get them the help. And this is even for folks who might be in the professional field, elected officials. There are severe mental health challenges in our community, and we have not addressed them writ large on a national level. And our access to social media, the isolation that people are still feeling from the pandemic, it has not erased the challenges as it relates to mental health. I'm seeing it amongst our younger kids. I get reports regularly. I've never seen so many people attempting suicide in this city. It is really very concerning, the number of people that are attempting suicide in all different methods and ways in our city. We have to have a conversation, a serious community conversation about how Rochester can be a model for the rest of the state and country as it relates to mental health supports. And I would urge anybody to join me in that conversation as we go through the rest of this year and as we go into the second term. We have to focus on everyone's mental health. I'll be saying more today at a conference. I believe it's going to be this afternoon about the incident that happened on Sunday with our officer involved shooting where we had an officer injured. The chief will have more on that later today, and I'll be making some comments on that and maybe talking about some possible policy prescriptions that we're going to have to make sure that we do in order to ensure that we keep our cities safe across New York State. So we are excited. As I said last night, we're tired. We're tired, but we're not going to give up. I mean, this has been a long slog because of the added layer of federal complexity that we've had to deal with. But we're gonna press on. I also want to congratulate the city council members. I don't know if all the votes have been counted yet, but I want to congratulate all the city council members. I look forward to working collaboratively as I have for the past 3.5 years with city council. Much of my agenda I've been able to get done. Mitch Gruber and Miguel Melendez were reelected. They have been instrumental in working with me collaboratively in order to move things forward. Like I said, you don't always have to agree, but in order to get things done, we have to be able to show that we can govern with competence, because we need to have a good city bond rating. We need to be able to have a place where the trains runs on time. That stuff is not fun, it isn't sexy, but it's important. It's how you run a city. And if you don't have that, you don't have a city. And you have to have a city council that understands that. This is hard work, this is serious business, and we have to make sure that we work collaboratively to make things happen. So I thank you all for coming today. And with that, I will take any questions that you may have on anything related to this election and things going forward. I think the heat has cooled down a little bit, but I mean, the heat the last couple of days has been oppressive. It's been dangerous. Some folks have asked me, did that drive down turnout? I'm not sure. May have, but I will tell you that what I found during this campaign is people were tired of politics. You know, we call this off-year elections. That's the other challenge, I think. We need to highlight the importance of local elections. You know, we talk about the midterms and the presidential, but we have to understand also the importance of local elections. But one of the things that we made sure we did was get our supporters out and make sure that they got to the polls to cast their ballots for us, and we're very pleased with that, obviously. Yeah.
Mayor, when you came up to the podium yesterday, you were pretty emotional. Can you reflect on that?
Yeah, I think it was just the emotion of the year. This is probably, you know, it's always emotional when you run for office, but I think that it was an added layer this year because of the challenges from the federal government, right? Because I mean, that's something that mayors aren't used to dealing with. We never really think about the federal government, so there was that, and then just overcoming so much of what I would call much more of a negative campaign that I've seen in recent years. I've been involved in a lot of campaigns. I think this was probably one of the most negative campaigns I've seen. I always run as a happy warrior, and I continue to do that. But I think the campaign talked about all of Rochester's problems, and some folks didn't provide that many solutions, and it was just like, let's see how we can distort the mayor's record. But I was really overwhelmed by the support that I got, and the support in that room. I mean, the room was, you know, we got the fire marshal. I was concerned that if the fire marshal came in, he would say, how many people are in this room? I mean, that room was packed with supporters, and we would have had even more. I mean, we had to cap it at the number of people who could attend. And, you know, when I came out for the first time and saw that many people in that room, it was emotional. And to see elderly, and then to see little kids, to see the gamut from kids that are 9 months to people who are in their 80s. That is what I wanted this campaign to be about, representing every hue of Rochester, the diversity that was in that room, right? That's how you move things forward. And then I always thought about my parents. I was very close to my parents, and on election night, when you don't have your parents, that's tough. And then, you know, Victor Saunders, who was, you know, my right-hand man, that's a member of our senior management team. You know, his funeral was less than a month ago. And, you know, I had to campaign during that and everything else. You just don't lose your right-hand person that worked on your signature issue, public safety, and not get emotional with that. So it was a bunch of different things. And then seeing my kids, you know, my kids, for the first time, they're old enough where they can make phone calls, and they were on the phone making phone calls. So that also added, I think, to a layer of emotion as well. So it was a very emotional, but more so than anything else, I was grateful. I was grateful for my team. I was grateful for the team that helped put this campaign together. And just blessed to be a Rochesterian and all that it has given to me, and that I didn't lose myself in getting in dirt, because I could have, I still could, right? And it was very hard. It was very challenging for me not to go low, and boy, could I have, right? Like when you have people who, I'll leave it at that. And you know, I'll stay positive, but it was very, if I thought that it was necessary, I could have really punched back a lot harder, but I didn't, because when you look at what's going on in Washington, why would we want that to visit our city when we're under attack from Washington, and then we're attacking each other. So you have to ask yourself, why would you want to make the mayor's job that much harder when he's on the front line? Just filed a lawsuit 2 days ago, right? You know, so I mean, it just didn't compete, and I was hoping that the public would see that, and they did, and I think that's what's added to the emotion. So I thank them for saying, you know what, okay, this guy's fighting for us, this guy's standing up for Rochester, and we have people locally some people locally that want to try to, you know, make it harder so he has to stand up to Rochester, and then also fight with one hand tied behind his back, but. We overcame, and that's why I was extremely happy about that. Any other questions?
Just I want to clarify death threats. It was mentioned that you received death threats. Can you just comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like to go into detail about it because we don't like to. We don't like to highlight the idiots that do that. But you know, when you're an elected official, that's sometimes a common occurrence, but it's more concerning because you saw what happened in Minnesota. And you know, even before that, I know other elected officials that have gotten that. It's crazy, and it's something that previous mayors may have dealt with maybe once or twice, but because of the environment that we live in, because of social media, because of the stuff that people see on TV, they sometimes get a little nutty and crazy, and that also, I think, added a layer to what it is, because nobody gets into public service to have their lives threatened, right? And that's something that a lot of our elected officials across the country are dealing with, but it's been heightened because of the hyper rhetoric in our community. And there is not just one group that you can blame. It comes from all sides, and it is crazy, and it needs to stop. And we need to turn the temperature down, because violence can never be tolerated. Threats of violence should never be tolerated. And I think that it's something that people should understand is serious. And I think people need to remember that, yes, you're an elected official, but you also have family, right? And you're also a human being. And some of it's mental health, some of it's not. Some of it is just straight, crazed lunatics who should not be operating in the streets. And I mean, you guys have covered some of the stories on previous ones from previous years of people who've done jail time, right, for threatening to bring harm to myself and other elected officials locally. Anything else? I know I gave you a lot there. But I thank you all for coming. I thank the community again for its support. We have a lot of work to do, and as I always say, it's not me, it's we, and it has been about all of us. It has been about we, the community, that has really helped me to move Rochester forward, and we're going to continue to move it forward. And I want people to remember, especially to the young people, there will always be naysayers. There will always be people that will say Rochester's best days are behind them. We believe that our best days are in front of us, and we're going to prove that. Not me, but all of us, by working together. So I thank you all for coming, and I'll see you at the next press event, which might be in a couple of hours. Thank you.